rock, they got it all. Rage quitting, head banging, it's a metal brawl. Mental meltdown, giving in flames. Chris and Henry bringing the thunderous rage. Video games and viral content. Better games, ripping through pixels, the ultimate game to get around. The ultimate. Game over, I'm feeling the rage. Chris Collins and HenricK on the stage, talking gaming news. Industry that can't escape, we're fueling video games. No need to debate, they bring the heat, spitting truth non-stop with fiery words. They're ready to drop, making waves in the world of video games. Collins and HenricK, they don't play no games. From console wars to DLC scales, they expose it all, making sure no one jails. The audience fired up, ready to explode. When rage quits on, you know it's a code. You know it's a code. When rage quits on, you know it's a code. Rage quit. Rage quit. I'm losing my mind. Chris and Henry, they're fucking gaming all the time. Rage quit. Rage quit. It's a love-hate affair, but I keep coming back. Ain't nothing else to compare. Rage quit. It's a love-hate affair.
What's raging, gamers? Welcome to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. How you doing, HenricK the Wreck?
You know me, Chris. As always, I'm doing great. It's Wednesday, and you know what Wednesday means? We're here doing the show, and I know we got some great clips coming up right now.
Man, you couldn't have said it any better, because we always like to start off the show with a bang and show you guys a lot of viral content that is circulating all across the globe. And I know I'm a four-eyed man feeling like a member of the Three Blind Mice without my
You
glasses.
and me both.
Right, HenricK? And I don't know if anybody has seen this clip of a professional gamer playing video games. For you and I, HenricK, he makes us both look like we got 20/20 vision. And if you don't know what we're talking about, we're going to go ahead and roll that clip for you guys right now.
I mean, it's not necessarily. He just has to be aware of the risk that he's taking, right? He might want to go and try to peek connector and sit behind triple, maybe 1 second away from that, and feeling comfortable. Yeah, what? Oh my God, it's all 7 deaths. I just bought glasses, and I feel like I have an astigmatism.
Yeah, that announcer's right there on point with it. I know this is a professional gamer strat to sit that close to the monitor, but I don't know about you, Chris. I don't think I could ever play a game like that.
Well, especially since he's not even wearing like those glasses, like the yellow tint, to help kind of protect the eye.
Hmm.
I just don't know if that's smart for your long-term health after all. But let's go straight into the comments because everybody had something to say, like one flashbang and bro gonna see the sun.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is it like if you play this strategy, like maybe in Counter-Strike, you don't necessarily get that kind of, flashbang sense like as in other games, or does it not matter?
Oh, I mean, even when you're not doing this, you're, just normally using your monitor. The second you get flashbanged in Counter-Strike, you're going to go blind if you're sitting in a dark room, let alone if you're right next to the monitor.
Right. I do like in that video edit that they show, like, this has got to be what he's seeing, right?
Yeah.
From what I see, he's getting thrashed. He is an esports competitor after all. Not every game you're going to win.
His competition's got better gaming chairs, most likely.
Oh, okay. How can you even see what's going on being that close? Fair enough. I mean, that's kind of like the argument, right, about first-person and third-person shooters. Does this even apply for all games? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's mostly for shooters, honestly. I haven't seen anyone try to do this for like a racing sim, which
That's true.
we do have a clip of a racing sim coming up, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, because last week we discussed whether gamers drafted into the Racing Prodigy League can handle the G-force of transitioning from controllers to race cars, but a viral clip shows the ultimate driving simulator rig. This dude is ready for NASCAR, or whatever life handles at his, own risk, per se. This is intense, y'all.
Even though it probably is more expensive to do this than just buy some beater car to go drift in a parking lot or something, this looks like a ton of fun.
You would try? I don't know if I would want to
try
jump
it.
into that rig. Oh, hey, you know what? We got to see that. Hey, man, if you're willing to let someone else jump into your own rig, let us know. We're throwing HenricK the Wreck in first. Hence the
It's
name,
like those,
HenricK the
those
Wreck.
mechanical bulls, but instead of the bull, it's just the chair with a racing game set up and everything.
That's a good analogy. He was spinning around like as if he was driving around on a Mars rover or something. Is that like the new NASA of today? But bro is playing in third person. Yeah, that was kind of funny too to see that as well.
I just realized that.
The next comment we got here is, bro's drift so tough he went flying without the seatbelt. I think that, that's the thing, though. Maybe if you want to be a part of this new Racing Prodigy League, which is an awesome league, by the way, that we covered last week, if you want to get off the controller and feel that G-force of like a real race car, then this guy on TikTok definitely has it going on. And let's go ahead and read the last comment, which is, imagine playing Mario Kart at home and falling off your controller because it's so realistic. Forget that. What happens, HenricK, if you get hit by a blue shell?
Oh no. Yeah, I can only imagine. It's like, how in those goofy 80s action films there's like a eject button for the car. Something like that's gonna happen. You're gonna get hit with the blue shell and you're gonna go flying in a direction.
Just like how we covered that one guy that had that like recoil on a gun. Maybe that he needs to add another add-on if he's going for that Super Mario Kart route. But all I know is, HenricK, is that when we get older and grow a family, finding alone time to play video games feels like searching for a legendary loot drop in a sea of diapers and homework. Can anyone relate? I know I can't because I'm not there yet, fam. But I can only imagine for anybody out there that's got beautiful kids that are in this life that we call a wonderland. Man, it is amazing potential, a lot of amazing opportunities. But sometimes, I don't know about you, HenricK, like, is there like time where it feels rough to find that go-to time to play some of your favorite video games? Well, any parent out there, can you relate to this clip?
I think this parent needs to take a little bit of notes from, I never really had a little brother, but I had a little sister. And I did this one or two times at least. You just hand them the controller and say, okay, you're controlling that one, okay? Even though the controller's not actually connected.
That's a good point. It's like, hey, I need someone to be that NFL coach. Are you calling the playbook call? And then you're just clicking along, even though he's thinking he's engaged. I like that, Henry. Bonding, family bonding. This is how you correct your wrongs out there. Some people would call this bad parenting. Some people feel like it's an escape from reality. This person said, you've waited 11 years for this. They can wait another hour. It's true. These are the times that you were supposed to be spending during your post-graduation from life as high school, whether it's college. He didn't get that opportunity as NCAA football has been gone for so long. These kids shall wait. Next comment here is, it's this level of commitment your recruits need to see. HenricK, as we covered in our pause or repeat segment for EA College Football 25, those DMs, you got to address them to those high schoolers, before they commit to another college route.
You got to live, breathe, and die by your team.
That's right. You got to die for the sword, for the football, that leather, that leather ball. And last, just waiting for all the people who don't realize this is the joke and the legit opposite of what you do as a dad. Thank you. Some people definitely thought this was definitely real. And I mean, on a level, you can kind of feel that when you see the kid, for example, like the son. He was locked into the video game, HenricK. I don't know if you noticed that. He literally looked like...
Most likely, he actually plays the game as well.
True. Or he's like, Dad, I'll sit there in quiet. He's like, sometimes you don't understand. Even you sitting there in quiet's not enough. I need my own peace and quiet time. I know the feeling. President Donald John Trump. Thank you, my man. Wow. Who would have thought
the show.
Who would have thought that the former president, Donald Trump, is joining the show? Gotta love it. Hey, thank you so much, my friend. But hey, anyways, we just want to let you guys know that this is Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show, and we can't thank you, the gamers, for always tuning in live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because this show would not be possible. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and scan the QR code and hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show.
And go ahead and hit that QR code as well. You'll go to my YouTube channel where you see clips from the show, and you'll also get to know when I go live, because I do that every now and then. I'm trying to get better at that. But you won't know unless you subscribe.
Yeah, I mean, what are we waiting for? I mean, that is something that we're really growing forward. And I love this lower third right here, because this is what makes Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show so special. We want to hear from you, the gamers that are tuning in live for this show, because, again, this show would not be possible without your guys' support. So wherever you guys are tuning in from, whether it's Meta, whether it's Twitch, whether it's YouTube, join in from your chat, and you will be featured live on air like this cool lower third. And just like how you just saw with the former president, apparently, is a big fan of Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show, you can get featured. So, hey, HenricK, are you ready to get this show on the road? Because I'm ready to rock and roll.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready, and I'm ready to talk about a game, because up next we got Pause or Repeat.
That's right, baby. Come on now.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Bo Path of the Teal Lotus. This is a Metroidvania through and through, taking inspiration from the genre's predecessors and delivering it all in a nice hand-drawn art style package. But does it stand on its own as a good game or not? Let's delve into the gameplay and see what lies in store. The game being a Metroidvania, it is going to be very similar to other indie titles in the genre. One that it draws a lot of parallels to is Hollow Knight, for example. You play as a Tentai Hana, a bloomed lotus flower given sentience by the cosmic being in the sky known as Kami, or God. Being such a small character means you are expected to do lots of precision platforming and movement during combat. Combat consists of weaving in abilities and jumps as well as standard attacks. Early on, you get a staff to whack things with, a bat to hit back certain projectiles, and a Daruma to throw out in a line that can damage enemies. The game also encourages airborne combat via a heat system that increases the damage of your abilities as you get a higher heat level. Altogether, this combination of movement and combat abilities makes the gameplay feel smooth and fluid, as long as you take the time to acclimate to the controls. Moving on to the story, the story revolves around a lot of Japanese mythology. You play as Bo, a Tentai Hana or celestial blossom fox sent down from the heavens. Your purpose becomes clear early on, as in the background of one of the first areas of the game, you see a calamitous evil awaken and cause mass destruction. Clearly, you were sent down from the heavens to stop the evil, but to do so, you must first face other challenges along the way and unlock your full potential. But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat?
Can we just say real quick that the art style in this is definitely the standout feature? I mean, it's hand drawn. So I just have to commend the art for this game because it is very captivating.
Oh, absolutely, HenricK. And I think, not to try to step on you, but like to know that even with so many job layoffs happening because of, the AI that's being implemented in a lot of studios and developers out there, some of the number one jobs that are being removed is 2D artist. And this is just one of those prime examples where sometimes that, can AI capture all of this?
Yeah,
go on,
I'd say
HenricK.
no. I'd say no. I don't think it could because I think we all know at least how AI is now. It doesn't have the same level of care and detail as an actual person who does care about making a good product because it's just trying to pump it out as quick as it can. That's it.
Yeah.
It is taking inspiration from things, but I mean, that can only take it so far, really.
But don't you think it's also kind of too like where you look at Japanese folklore and there's just something so mesmerizing about it anyways? Like I just love the whole idea about the whole Japanese culture. It's just very enchanting. It demands you to look and explore every nook and cranny in the game because it's just that beautiful. That mythic charm is so real.
Yeah, and this definitely does take even inspiration with the art style from like the water paintings that Japanese artists would do. It's like kind of taking some inspiration from that, and a lot of that is also taking inspiration from the folklore itself. So it's all connected. It's all connected, and it's all in a nice little Metroidvania package, which it is a saturated genre in the indie space. Unfortunately, that is the one thing that I can say about the game is this kind of game is a dime a dozen in the indie space, but I'd say it still stands out not only because of the art style, but also because, the game isn't super long, but it does want you to keep playing it over and over again. At least I feel like it does.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair. I mean, I think just to kind of give a little bit of context about, this style of game, what started as a solo developed project 3 years ago has finally arrived. And while we're talking about the landscape, it is very, very stunning. It's like a vacation brochure coming to life, but there's something about the story when you're also mixing in Japanese folklore that just made me go, man, I wanted something more than just beyond, wow, the scenery is very pretty. They had a lot of amazing opportunities to really dive deep into this whole Japanese mythology that is something that I felt like could have worked really, really well with this 2D gameplay and exploration that I think a lot of gamers will fall in love with it if this is your kind of style of game where, I don't know about you, I know there's gamers out there that are like, I don't feel emotionally attached to characters. I just want to burn through the gameplay. Well, then maybe this game might work for you. But I just felt like with the narrative-driven aspect was completely missed in this game, which could have helped elevate this game to be something even more special beyond just the beautiful graphics laid out on screen.
Yeah, a lot of the dialogue, it's more about getting you to the next place, and then I do agree. Yeah, some of
like they fall off, right?
Yeah, even some of the lore building is more about building the folklore as the story to tell to you. Like, hey, this is an explanation of what exactly your character is, and things like that. So there isn't necessarily as much of, like you were saying, the whole like linear story. There is a little bit of a story, but don't go into this thinking like it's a Last of Us
Well, that's the thing,
game,
though.
you
Like,
know?
well, that's kind of the joke that I'm saying. It's like you could completely skip all of the dialogue in the video game and like not even care to even grasp into whatever narrative that they were even trying to push within the game in the first place. Because let's face it, HenricK, it's like doing a big budget film. All these characters are like extras. They're like, thank you for your service, but you will not be continuing with us with the sequel, if there
And
is
I
a
will
sequel.
say, at least the gameplay does stand on its own because
True. Yeah.
not a lot of Metroidvanias actually do in-depth. Well, I say in-depth, but like encourage you to do things outside of what you would normally do for other Metroidvanias in terms of the combat.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it does encourage you to actually weave in your abilities during combat, and then also even then just be in the air most of the time. And it didn't really click with me at first, the combat. Then I got to the second boss, which is this boss on a bridge, and I was still playing it kind of like I was doing the first boss, and I was like, let me try something different. So I encouraged myself to embrace what the game wants you to do, which is the airborne combat. And I was like, okay, this is good. This feels a lot
But
better.
didn't you kind of find it a little bit refreshing with a lot of brand new games that come out? There's just like way too much tutorial. At least this game encourages you to discover some of the elements on your own. Yes, it might seem like it
Yeah.
has that basic attacks of 4 different directions, you know, the jump, dash, and etc. But I do like the idea in Bow Path of the Teal Lotus. You start out unarmed, right? And then soon you find out you have this like earring that transforms into a staff or even a tea kettle, which turns out to be the secret to survival, apparently, because you got to juggle a magic staff moves and a tea break within your own time. I don't know about you. That seems to go hand in hand with a lot of gamers like myself. I definitely need to have a coffee in me to pull an all-nighter. And you can easily pull an all-nighter with this game. I think it's about, what, roughly 8 hours if you're not a completionist?
It's not too long. It's definitely a typical thing for the Metroidvania genre. A lot of them are not really that long.
Yeah.
But you're meant to play them over and over again. And that's why it is focusing so much on the gameplay as the first thing, because it wants to make sure that it's fun to play the second time, the third time, maybe even the fourth and fifth time round. Because, you know, a story can only carry it so long when you've heard the story 5 times in a row, right? So
Yeah. No, it's so true. And I think some of the boss battles, I think a lot of people are going to fall in love with, especially since they are very, very massive. In fact, it almost feels like they take up the entire screen
Yeah.
at times. And it's not also just these iconic boss battles that you'll fall into, you know, with the 2D platformer. You know, you're always going to fall into dodging those environmental hazards, which I don't know about you, HenricK. I felt like they had a personal vendetta on me. Maybe it's because I've always talked shit about 2D video games when they do come around in the modern era, per se. But I do feel like it was visually stunning. Again, I feel like if you're into the attacks and the add of charms throughout the game, it's gonna help advance this. And you know, again, you know, if you're like a completionist, you know, this game is definitely for you because there's a lot of optional challenges throughout this video game if you crave that extra difficulty. I found myself having to tap out numerous times trying to do a lot of these optional challenges, but I'm curious on what you have to say about Bow Path of the Teal Lotus. For me, myself, I had a blast playing it. The first time through, I don't feel like I would be replaying it again. It doesn't mean it's a terrible game just because I'm saying pause. I had a fantastic time playing this game. I just don't feel like it's something that I will jump back into anytime soon. What are you going to say, HenricK?
That's fair. It isn't going to be for everyone. And I am someone who did grow up with a lot of the Metroid and Castlevania games, which is entirely what the Metroidvania genre is based off of. So I love this kind of game, and for me, it's a repeat, as just because of that fact. It's done well, and I didn't get everything the first time around, so my second playthrough is going to be the chance for me to go and do some of the extra content, other than just focusing on, okay, I got to go here next, then there, then there.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I need that New Game Plus. No, just kidding. Give me all my stuff right away after I have to complete the game. But hey, you heard from us. We are like down the middle with this game, but we want to hear from you, the gamers. Are you vibing with this? Have you played the game? Have you not heard of this game until now? Let us know what's good. That is what Pause or Repeat is all about. But man, we got a whole lot more here on Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. So HenricK the Wreck, are you ready to rock and roll, my man?
Absolutely. You know I am, Chris. Let's get this rolling.
Let's get it rolling, baby. Woo! What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK the Wreck and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. Let's get it. Summer is coming to an end, and even though August 2024 is a bit slower, there are still plenty of new games to anticipate on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series XS. Meanwhile, Nintendo fans are still waiting for their next big release. Sorry, Nintendo lovers. We personally do not have a vendetta on you.
We're also waiting for a new console. So
right,
we don't.
It's not us. It's not us having a personal vendetta against Nintendo. It's just not what's on the lay of the land.
It's not on the menu.
It's not on the menu, guys, for the month of August. But headlining this month is the highly anticipated Star Wars Outlaws, the first ever open world Star Wars game set between The Emperor Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. Play as Kay Vess, a scoundrel seeking freedom, and explore iconic and new planets with your companion Nick. Fight, steal, and outwit the galaxy's crime syndicates and become one of the most wanted. If you're willing to take that risk, gamers, the galaxy awaits. So let's go ahead and check out a teaser for Star Wars Outlaws.
There's been a lot of criticism towards this game, even before gameplay came out. But now that gameplay is out, there's a lot of criticism towards it. Can't necessarily know until we have our hands on it to try it, and we most likely will try it when it comes out. But yeah, it's not. I'll say it's not looking too well for Ubisoft.
You might say that, HenricK. I'm actually really looking forward to this. Everybody loves a good Star Wars game. This is our very first open world Star Wars game. So like, not everybody's gonna be satisfied. There's always gonna be some knucklehead, just like how everybody was just analyzing every little thing in the Star Wars Oculus series. Yes, not everything worked out, but don't we have a perfect, blueprint laid out? I mean, this has got to be something exciting, okay? I know the graphics might seem like something out of the PS4, but I'm willing to engage, HenricK. I cannot wait. Put me into the lore of the Star Wars universe, and your boy is in the heavens.
Yeah, we'll have to see when it comes out. I'm sure we'll do a pause or repeat on it because it's one of the bigger releases of the year. Yes, controversial or not.
Right, and just to clarify, no, I will not be paying the extra money to be playing for a mission that should have been given to the gamers in the first place.
Pay up to $130 for this?
Oh, hell no. Oh, no. Hey, but Star Wars Outlaws releases August 30th on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series XS. Another game that should be on your radar for August 2024 is Black Myth Wukong, is an action RPG rooted in the Chinese mythology. The story is based on The Journey to the West, one of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature. You shall set out as the destined one to venture into the challenges and marvels ahead, to uncover the obscure truth beneath the veil of a glorious legend from the past. This game looks very enticing. I'm loving the graphics. I'm really hoping it lives up to expectations. Let's take a closer look.
I feel like even if you don't know Chinese literature, you most likely know who Wukong is because he finds his way into all sorts of games, and now we got a game specifically just about his story. And
And
it
I know
does look really awesome.
it doesn't. It looks really, really awesome. And I think some of the best parts about video games is like having, I don't know if real expectations is the right word that I'm looking for, but more along the lines of like, you don't really know what's going to happen, like story-wise with the game. I mean, yeah, some people know the Chinese literature of it all, but like, will they do their own twists? Will they actually keep true to the lore of it? I know some of the early reviews that I was reading about the game is that they were using Unreal Engine 5 and actually scanning real Chinese temples and all these kind of like different aesthetics about, the environmental landscape of it all to really kind of capture the true essence of what they wanted from this video game. So if all that is true and more, then I mean, how could you not get excited for this? Will it be game of the year? I think that's a potential question that a lot of us are waiting for, but we all have to wait. We're on the edge of our toes right now. We're kind of slipping off the edge of our gamer chairs because Black Myth Wukong releases August 20th on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series XS. This game, whether it was in the beta trials or not, some people have been vibing with it, some people have been clowning it. Is it a replica? Well, hey, we're going to break it down for you right now. This is Concord. It is a 5 versus 5 character-driven first-person multiplayer shooter set in the Concord Galaxy. You play as a free gunners, a crew of guns for hire on the ship North Star, taking high-stake jobs from across the wild space. From match to match, you'll form your team of free gunners with other players and battle it out with rival crews to take home the reward across a variety of maps and modes. So let's go ahead and take a look.
I've seen a lot of people say that it looks like Overwatch plus Guardians of the Galaxy just made by ex Bungie devs.
Yeah,
and
Marvel Rivals.
that's it. Yeah,
I think that's a
exactly.
fair point, right? I mean, there's a lot of like new games coming out that are trying to approach that 5 versus 5, reality again when it comes to multiplayer, especially that like character-driven aspect. And Concord's going to be in that a little bit of a tough battle to kind of hold on to that retention span of gamers because we see how fast certain games can reach a peak and then kind of drop when it comes to player count. And we kind of saw that effect with Power World, which is trying to clap back a little bit during the summertime, but not necessarily holding on to that retention span that it once had in the beginning of its livelihood of the game. So Concord, it's in a tough battle, but I'm definitely pretty excited about it. I think it's really, really cool. I just think it's a little bit of a bummer for it not to be available on the Xbox or even including Nintendo. I mean, none of these games, unfortunately, that we highlighted from August have any kind of love for Nintendo, and you're thinking, man, what a great place to get people into a 5 versus 5 new IP, then get Concord on to more platforms.
If people really want to play, because I mean,
so this is like the real test to you think?
Numbers from the beta is not an indication of whether the game
I agree with,
but they really struggled to get people to play the beta, especially when you compare it to one of its competitors, Marvel Rivals, which also had a beta.
I mean, come
I
on.
think it was something like 6 times the amount of people playing Marvel Rivals.
It's so tough. It's so tough because you're really trying to get people to connect with your characters and and you're a multiplayer style game too that's not really offering this like story aspect. And remember, that was something that people wanted in the Overwatch community. Now you're trying to encourage new gamers to jump onto your newly developed game, and you're trying to have them embrace your world. What is that world? What does it mean to be a part of this ship on what they say the North Star? We won't know until the game releases later this year on August 23rd on PC and PS5. So those are our top 3 most watched games for August 2024. So go ahead, put this on your list because you are not going to want to miss it when it releases this summertime. But hey, HenricK, I know we got a lot more things to discuss right here on Patch Notes, so break it down.
After GameStop's abrupt announcement that it would be shutting down Game Informer after 33 years,
Yeah, wow.
erasing all content from the magazine's website and reportedly laying off the entire staff. People across the video game industry are paying tribute to the iconic publication with the following.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and start reading some of these comments. The first one that we got here is after. Sorry, this thing got all blocked off on my end. After a former Game Informer staffer used the site's social channels to post their own statement on Game Informer's closure, GameStop nukes the account. This, coupled with taking the online archives offline on Friday, is such a flagrant disrespect for GI and its legacy. Sad to see, and to be fair, that was kind of sad. But then again, I mean, it's their company, right? They get to do what they want to do, but to not be able to give their own, staff the time to be able to back it up, all their work that they put into all those years.
Yeah.
That's very, very tough and very, very sad. Another one that we
Absolutely.
got here is farewell indeed. As someone who grew up poring over each issue, it was such a thrill and an honor to see our games grace Game Informer. Sad that such a staple of our industry is now gone. Good luck to everyone involved. Your work will be missed. And as you can clearly see, they're highlighting, Uncharted. This is Neil Druckmann, the guy that brought you The Last of Us. I mean, he understands the impact that this glossy print publication brought to their studio all these years. The next comment that we got here is, Game Informer brought out the best of the games industry. I worked on this cover, and its iconic artwork literally would not exist if their team did not push us to deliver something incredible. It's a profound loss for all of us. The next comment we got here is, this is the end of an era, and it saddens me greatly to see this piece of news. I remember how excited we were to get this cover ahead of The Witcher 3 launch. Game Informer was there in the very early days of the industry, and it's hard to imagine this will be no more. And those are the guys, from CD Projekt Red. And I mean, just look at the screenshot. This post is from an account that no longer exists. You can't even show them love to the direct account. They're just like, sorry, we see that everybody is in a time of mourning, but let's keep it moving. Cover stories by Game Informer are also fascinating historical source. They have immortalized the initial visual designs of games like Borderlands and Fortnite, which are cornerstones of the industry. This is video game preservation, which deserves recognition. And last, I told ChatGPT to write a farewell message for Game Informer magazine, rest in peace, and it sure sounds a lot like the one that GameStop executives published this afternoon. We don't even know whether that's the true or not, but some people just felt like it was pretty tasteless, and then to top it off, the icing on the cake by deleting, the social media account. Within a couple hours after, this farewell goodbye to everybody that supported Game Informer all those years, I bet it's got to be pretty tough for the staff that's now looking for a new home. And so, HenricK, with studio closures and video game developers being laid off just earlier this year, is video game journalism facing its own crisis as the glossy print days come to an end?
Oh, it definitely is, and it is sad to see places like Game Informer shut down. I mean, I'm someone who, when I was younger, my parents got me a subscription for a little bit of time, just Game Informer, and it would always be a very fun time when that would come in the mail and I'd see this new artwork and these new games that are being announced. But at least on the magazine side, obviously that doesn't last now that people have such easy access to the internet.
Yeah, like your smartphone.
Yeah. And I feel like even now there's been more of a shift towards, instead of publications giving you the news on how a game is coming out, it's more of like, oh, this streamer that I follow is playing a game, and it's a new game, or they're talking about a game that's brand new. There's different tactics now for announcing when a game comes out, and it's really been hurting the industry in terms of the game news publications. You can see a lot of them either shut down, be really struggling. Some of them are launching Patreon pages. We saw that a couple weeks ago now from Video Game Chronicles. Like that's
right.
wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you definitely need to keep the overhead afloat, right?
Yeah.
Let's just be real about this. I mean, when's the last time your mom or your dad, mostly the mothers out there, buying a People magazine when they're at Stater Brothers or Vaughn's just before
Yeah.
they run up their groceries? I mean, nobody's doing that. I mean, we're also in a generation too, and I would even argue that Gen A is even worse than us millennials. But like, does anybody even like to pick up the phone when the phone rings? It's just like I know you were talking this analogy earlier. Oh, I loved when my mom ordered me Game Informer and it would come in the mail. Don't we all panic when something in the mail comes in that we don't know about? I mean, we're not
Well,
really
to be
engaging that
fair,
kind
a
of
lot of
sense.
times we when we get things in the mail now at our age, it's usually a bill of some sort or a
Yeah,
credit card
right.
offer for a credit card we don't necessarily need. So we're just gonna rip that out.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it doesn't take away that Game Informer, which was a video game magazine in publication since 1991, completely closed down because of its parent company, GameStop, which just kind of makes you wonder, like, what is the future of GameStop moving forward? We talked about this in previous seasons before about Best Buy, for example, completely ending the sale of physical games or physical media in a sense when it comes to like DVDs and etc. So like, does GameStop starting to see that there's an end to an era which some people might deny is not a real thing? I mean, I mean, at least myself, I'm a big proponent of the idea of cloud gaming, and I really think that that's going to be the new way of how we access our favorite video game titles. And this is like no different than when it comes to video game journalism. I don't see video game journalism dying anytime soon. In fact, I just feel like it's just going towards this whole new medium that we haven't quite seen. And it's just a bummer that GameStop doesn't want to continue that charge with Game Informer,
Well,
at least through a website publication.
have you walked into a GameStop recently? I mean, I actually work pretty close to one, so I
Yeah,
think
no,
the
it's
last
definitely a
time
fair
that
question. No one.
the last
I
time I walked
haven't.
into one was like a few months ago, and yeah, it isn't something you necessarily walk into unless you're looking to see if they have like a used game deal on something physical. That's even if you're looking for a console released game in the first place. But even when you walk in and you're looking at the game selection they have, it's not that extensive anymore. A lot of the Game Stops have now switched over to being more of a merchandise shop.
Yeah,
You
fair
walk
enough,
in,
right?
there's shirts, there's cups, backpacks, collectibles, figurines, what you name it,
That's
all
funny that you
sorts of
said that.
things.
That's so true. It's more for like the knickknacks and less about selling video games. Or it's
Yeah.
about dragging your girlfriend or your wife inside the store going, I've been a good boy. You did tell me that you would buy EA College Football 25 for me, and the only way to actually get her to buy the game without her getting access to your video game account maybe is by walking her into a GameStop. But I think this is also something very important to kind of inform listeners because, like, I know the Game Informer news has been kind of circulating across the web. We're not the only people to be covering this, but I think this is an angle that's not being discussed about Game Informer, which again is the parent company to GameStop. People don't realize that, like, just as Game Informer closure was announced, GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen is being sued for alleged insider trading, by the company formerly known as Bed Bath & Beyond. So to break this down, between January and August 2022, while they were statutory directors for Bed Bath & Beyond, they use insider information to trade Bed Bath & Beyond stock, according to a complaint filed last Thursday in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. Do you think any of that has to play into the matter? If you're somebody that's going to get sued for what they say is about $47 million, don't you think that has something to do with, like, hey, what can we keep afloat? Well, if the glossy print isn't really pushing us to make a profit, a revenue out of it, why are we still moving forward with this? Maybe some people would argue that maybe it would have been a better idea for them to just sell Game Informer to somebody else. Instead, GameStop felt what was best to just completely shut down all of the operation.
Yeah, if they're looking for ways to save money in lieu of something coming down on them and demanding them to pay up a bunch of money, then it is a shame that they didn't look at the option of selling, but they probably didn't want to risk losing any money, or probably even didn't, want to have someone just own the brand and take it over because they wanted to just be spiteful in that way, Because
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
then
oh, if we can't operate it, no one can operate
but
it.
then it also makes you think about all last year, a couple years ago. Remember when they were like, "Oh, the AMC stocks and all the GameStop stocks. We gotta go start buying it now. This is the perfect window, the perfect opportunity." To me now, I just feel like GameStop that we know of is not going to be the same moving forward. And as you can see on screen, this is their final farewell as Game Informer, and we definitely feel the loss for a lot of you guys that had 33 years of just great video game dialogue brought to a lot of us gamers throughout the years. I mean, a big part of Game Informer is Rage Quit after all, right? We wouldn't be even thinking about the idea of even gaming reviews, industry talk, and a whole other lot of amazing content that comes with talking about this space. And so, yeah, it's a tremendous loss, but we want to know from you, the game. Wow, look at that image right there. The very first publication from Game Informer in the fall of 1991. I mean, look at that sizzling hot pre-release reviews, Decap Attack, Micro Machines, NHL Hockey, and the Game Genie controversy. I know it will definitely be missed, but I bet the person that's still holding on to that publication is probably loving life, right? It's like, as they joke,
it's a
right?
collectible now.
Yeah, right. It's like when you see some of your favorite rock gods out there, and you're like, maybe you saw them, you got an autograph from them. As sad as it's to say, when they leave us from this present life, the value goes up. So, but then again, we want to hear from you guys. Do you think this was the right move? Did you wish that Game Informer was potentially picked up by another publication to continue, what they brought to us for so many years? Or do you think this was the right move? Who the hell's picking up a glossy print? I don't remember picking up a magazine and reading it on the toilet anymore. I think you're using your phone. Let us know.
Yeah, most likely you're using your phone or
Which
some
just
sort of
sounds
other
so
thing.
disgusting, by the way.
Yeah.
I hope you're
You
washing
better
your
wash
hands.
your phone
You
after
better be
you
washing
wash
your
your
hands. And the
hands.
fact that I even got to give you a PSA to wash your hands when you're at the toilet, that's got to... Oh, God, that's nasty. Hey, let's keep it moving. Let's go into the next topic of conversation, because a European initiative is tackling the issue of killing games by pushing for preservation and consumer protections. One major problem is that many games are unplayable once their servers are shut down by publishers. To fight this, the one way to combat the killing of games is to propose a new law, an effort that is currently underway in the European Union, which the process is called European Citizens Initiative. And if it's signed by 1 million citizens in the EU, it has the chance to become actual law. So this would force publishers to keep their games playable even if their servers go offline or their studio closes. So it's like giving games a little immorality clause, because no one likes their favorite game becoming a digital ghost town. Just like as if anybody saw the new Deadpool versus Wolverine. They can't seem to kill off Wolverine or Hugh Jackman. It's a little bit of that immorality clause. And as you can see from the image on screen, it is moving pretty fast. I mean, it's only been up for about a week. They need 1 million signatures from European citizens. And as you can clearly see, they're at about 21% of the way. And they have a full year to get this done. So let's go ahead.
I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But let's go ahead and dive right into the conversations with gamers online. So the first comment that we got here is crazy. 4 countries have already passed the halfway mark of their respective minimum threshold. The minimum amount of countries that have to reach their threshold is 7. Additionally, 1 million statements in total have to be made, which is already 14% done right now. It's even higher, as we just showed you on screen. This is all 4 days in as I'm writing this comment, and we have 361 days left. We are so doing this. Plan obsolescence should never be a thing for anything we buy. That it's definitely been that conversation about, do you actually own the game, or are you actually just purchasing a license? Kind of something similar to Adobe Creative Cloud. Do I own Photoshop?
It
or
makes
is it a
more
license?
sense. It makes more sense that you'd have to eventually replace like hardware, things like that, because hardware dies and things break. But for software, that's just all in our control. We don't have to let this just die.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Fair enough. I told my father they could take his karaoke away, so he signed it right away. Wow. Wow. Dude,
Oh man,
you are
there you
doing
go.
the Lord's work.
Yeah, I applaud you for that.
Our development team has signed it, and we will promote this within our community with the next patch release. We will also reach out to as many European development teams as possible. Stay strong, everyone together. We will get this done. So that's really cool to see. Lions Art is one of the few studio companies out there, developers that will push for this initiative for future games out there. What would that mean, though, for live service games? I think that's something that I'm trying to contemplate as we are reading these comments. Next comment we have here is done. Brazilian with Portuguese citizenship here. Reminder, people with the European Union IDs outside of the EU can still sign. That is a very, very true point. So if we got any listeners out there with the EU IDs, what are you waiting for? Sign the freaking thing. And last, from Denmark, and signed. I have countless old games that I would be terribly sad if it suddenly didn't work. That could be some random dude about today's game in 20 years. And I think, that's probably why that even in the top of the year, for example, HenricK, why so many people were pushing for, this thing called, where you can be emulator.
Oh yeah.
I wonder why people wanted
it definitely
this.
is.
It only pushes that argument.
Yeah, I mean, emulation is for a lot of games the only way to reasonably play them because it's just not possible to play it on original hardware, or the game itself is just like jacked up in price on the used market. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's all very true. And HenricK, do you think that the European Union will actually do the right thing once 1 million signatures are in? Or are we looking at a situation where the only thing that will get preserved is our dusty old consoles in a museum? Because, again, I think what people need to understand is just because it gets 1 million signatures doesn't necessarily mean that it goes into a law immediately. That only gives the opportunity for the politicians in the European Union to hold a conversation, or they might just see it and they just don't even care and they toss it to the side.
Which is a possibility. I mean, a lot of politicians might not even know or care about gaming history in the first place, so they might not take it seriously. There's all number of things that could happen. And right now, it's all about just giving the opportunity for it to actually become legislature, or even be talked about in the first place. And it's definitely possible, considering the amount of time we have. I unfortunately can't sign it because we don't live in the European Union. But if we did, I definitely would be signing this right now, because I feel like there was so many games in the late 90s, the mid 90s, late 90s, and early 2000s, more so on the PC side. But they would always give you, the gamers, the option to have some way to play the game even offline, if it was an online game, or host your own server, not have to rely on the game developers hosting a server to host lobbies for the game. And there's drawbacks to it, but we're living in 2024. How can we not figure this out?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely feels like there's two tragedies that come with putting a game into darkness, and it's kind of very similar to Game Informer that we just spoke on. When things go away and it takes away from all the programmers, artists, writers, animators, modelers. I mean, am I forgetting somebody? All that stuff that they labored into the game is maybe gone forever, which is a big problem that I think that's not being addressed enough compared to the major argument, which is killing a game is also very anti-consumer, right?
I mean, you had the whole question about a live service game, like what would happen to a live service game after it dies and you can't access it. Obviously, all that work
all those
that was
Fortnite
done is no
characters that you pay
longer accessible. What would happen in this case if this law did pass and a live service, like we'll say Fortnite, dies? What do you think would happen?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it is a major problem because we are getting an increasing number of publishers that are selling video games that require you to connect at all times through the internet, or which is, I think, is nonsense a lot of the times. But I have also heard other arguments where people say too, like, this is not feasibly possible for the studio companies too, and then if they do relinquish, moving on forward, because again, remember, this argument started around The Crew, which also had two other new IPs even after the case. So this is like a game that's about 10 years old. And so what some people are saying is that, hey, man, if I already own the game, I should be able to create my own private servers within the game alone of itself. And then some people go, well, if the studios aren't going to be, pushing forward with the video game anymore, then maybe you should be able to own it for yourself. And I think that's there's a bit of a trickiness to it, because it's like the argument with the emulators. It's like, yeah, you're repurposing the game to be able to be playable still moving forward, but like there are still emulators out there that are making money by being able to emulate that game through ads running in the background, if you catch my drift. So there's like a bit of like this discrepancy that might happen when it gets argued, at an open hearing about like if the video game dies and it prospers even further, does the video game studio company actually have a right to kill what is no longer a video game that's being accessed, in the line of online? It can get kind of tricky. I mean, in the multiplayer space, if it's a single player game, it just feels criminal. It's like, why do I have to log in online to be able to play the video game?
I mean, there was some Assassin's Creed titles that got yanked out of circulation because you couldn't access the servers that they were connected to, even though it was a single player experience. Like that, like you said, that feels criminal to just like be able to buy a game. And I think actually even they had a sale on those games not too long before this happened. And then they all of a sudden say, oh yeah, that game from like 10 years ago, you can't play it anymore. Sorry guys. And we're not going to fix it so you can actually play it. It just leads, it's one of those things where it's like, these companies want to prevent piracy, but things like this make the pirates come out and sail the seven seas because they need to do that in order to play these games that they already own.
Yeah, and I also think about, just the most recent shutdown of Xbox 360 store and losing complete access to a lot of the things that you own. Some people have claimed that they've lost some of the stuff that they that they purchased, that they thought that they owned, and then found out the hard way that, you just paid for a licensed service. But even going back to this whole idea about being able to continue the livelihood of a multiplayer game once it dies off, even some players all they're asking for is that provide them the tools to be able to host a game on their own server. And I think that's fair, but it's definitely going to be something that needs to be even more fleshed out, because I have seen, certain videos online where even with major developers for like World of Warcraft, for example, that have been kind of like pushing back on this idea, going, we don't necessarily like the legal wording that's being approached with this Stop Killing Games initiative, but I think it's a conversation that we should be having, because at the end of the day, this whole idea that we have to even argue that this game is a license sucks. If you own it, you own it. You should be able to do whatever the F you want to do with the video game. And that's just such a bummer. And on a final note, HenricK, imagine you're a Fortnite gamer and then Fortnite just completely dies 20 years later. You want to be able to do your own private servers. You want to be able to access all of your payable video game dudes. What happens if their server Epic just completely dies off and you can't access those paid characters?
Well, I think
what do you say to it?
I'd say the most beneficial way to, give the option for a private server, you could call it, is when you host a private server, all the cosmetics are unlocked, whether you paid for them or not. They're just
you just give it to everybody.
Yeah, at that point you're not making money off the game, so who cares?
Well, yeah, it's such a very tricky situation, and I know for anybody that wants to further explore what Stop Killing Games is all about, you can view the full initiative and learn more at stopkillinggames.com. But hey, let's have some fun as we start to tailor our way out of this amazing show that we got going right now on Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. HenricK, you're back at it again. Break it down for all the gamers out there tuning on in.
Absolutely. Reddit gamers are chatting about the most difficult challenges ever tackled in gaming history. Because clearly, simply surviving a game isn't enough. Now we need to decide which one is the ultimate test of gaming endurance. Yep. And we do have the
Yeah, I say we
question
go right on
itself.
into it.
Or we
Sorry.
can just go into
There
the
was,
comments.
You got it. Yeah, you definitely got to love the delay when it comes to a little bit of beauty with live streaming. But let's go down to this first one. The guy who holds the speedrun record for Super Mario Brothers is within 0.533 seconds of a theoretical perfect input run. And the guy wanted to edit it to clarify that it was Nifsky is the name of the speedrunner. A speedrunner, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I'm already like such a hater now. I mean, back then when I was a kid, I always appreciated the 2D platformers. But now as I get older, I just get more frustrated because they just seem to be so freaking hard. I don't know if that's how you feel. I was talking to a fellow gamer of mine actually 2 days ago, HenricK, and you would kind of laugh at this. Is this the kind of that same feeling where you go from console to PC? Like, my buddy was telling me, he's like, oh my God, dude, like, now that I try to hold on to a controller, my hands don't work properly. That's how I feel when I'm playing a 2D platform. I'm like, why is this so hard?
Well, it's one of those things. If you don't practice and you don't keep up the skill, then you lose it.
Right. It's just like beating NES Tetris or any Tetris, matter of fact. It doesn't matter what platform it's on. Tetris is always a pain in the ass.
And don't let the news reporters clown you on that. That is an achievement.
Yes. You know what? Snap. The next one we got here is turning off a great game at a reasonable hour to ensure a decent night's sleep. Yeah, that could be definitely
that
very,
is honestly
very
the big challenge.
Yes, we've all been there. The Street Fighter Evo moment. That was very legendary, right, Henry?
Yeah. Evo moment 38. If you have not seen it, I recommend to go look it up on YouTube because it is a great moment in Evo history that has still been referenced to this day, and just is a classic moment of this person has such dexterity when playing Street Fighter that is unparalleled.
Especially with how many blocked hits and within what 3 to 5 second window, but there's like at least 10 attacks going on at the same time,
and they're all perfect blocks.
All perfect blocks, by the way. That was amazing. The other one that we got here is there's some pretty insane stuff that's been done with the Soul series. Yeah, oh my gosh, just saying Soul series in general, I feel you. But one example would be the God Run, which has been done by a few streamers. So if nobody knows what the God Run is, you have to finish every Souls game, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Elden Ring without getting hit by a single enemy. Getting hit on game number 7 after spending hours on a run will send you back to the start of game number 1. I would want to cry my eyes out if that ever happened.
People have done it. That's the wild thing, is people have these challenges and then they do it. Someone out there just figures out how to do it.
Or what about the some dude in Dark Souls 3 that beat the Dark Eater, Madir, and Endgame optional DLC at level 1 with only his bare hands? The fight took multiple hours, and then another guy followed up. I died more on this stupid-ass dragon than any other boss in the series, and I had great equipment. So real gamers can recognize real. But, you know, as I'm thinking about this, HenricK, I mean, we're talking about these amazing gaming feats that you're just like, how the hell do people even do this in the first place? What about Guitar Hero, Through the Fire and Flames, when people are doing that really insane stuff? I mean, I'm a musician, but I can't be like, but is there something that comes to the top of your mind that you're just like, how do people even do stuff like this?
Well, not to toot my own horn, but
okay.
I have an achievement that's very, you know, not that many people have it in the game Deus Ex Human Revolution, and it's the titled achievement, The Foxiest of Hounds, a reference to the Metal Gear series. And the achievement is you go through the whole game and you don't raise any alarms throughout the entire game. Very hard to do a whole stealth playthrough in that game because, I mean, I did save scum.
What's the percentage on that?
You know,
what's the percentage on that?
4%
like 3%, 4%. Okay.
Have actually gotten that achievement. It's one of those achievements that on Steam it glows when you have it.
But are you lucky enough to be able to, if you fuck up, or excuse me, I'm already on it. Are you? Do you get the opportunity to go back and to the load screen?
If you saved.
Okay,
You can
I
go
was gonna
back.
say you're not doing it like the God mode where the guy goes.
Yeah,
"No."
no, I'm not gonna say I'm not that good.
Or what
I
about the
can't
clip?
go through all the Souls games without getting hit.
Or what about the guy that uses his pet goldfish to beat Elden Ring bosses? Has anybody
Oh
seen
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what the hell? Like, that's an amazing accomplishment. Like, who even thinks about building a weird gaming chart on screen and then, as the direction of the fish goes, activates buttons like in the video game? Like, that's incredible to me. Another one that I could think about right now on the top of my head is the guy that was playing the flute, like the toy flute.
Oh, and he was
Playing Elden Ring or anything, you
I
know?
think he was also playing at one point Armored Core 6.
Yeah, you know,
That was
like,
interesting.
it's better than like those fake streamers that are like, I can control it with my mind. I mean, even the dance pad is really, really cool as well. I mean, that's
Yeah.
an amazing accomplishment too. But is there a gaming moment that we're missing that is like man, like this should be on the list? This is freaking solid. That left you starstruck. Let us know what's good. But man, this has been such an amazing show, and we can't thank you, the gamers, for tuning in to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show, because this show would not be possible without your guys' support. And we also want to let you guys know, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and scan the QR code and hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show.
And go ahead and hit that QR code as well. You'll go to my YouTube channel where I post all sorts of content, and more is on the way. So stay tuned.
That's right. And we can't thank you guys enough. And join us next Wednesday at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time for another round of Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you guys soon.